Greetings to you all, gamers and strategists, and welcome back to our channel. In this episode, we're taking a look at the 4X genre, a distinct and rather unique branch of strategy gaming focusing on empire building, industrial and economic development, diplomacy, and war. We'll take a look at the early strategy forerunners that pioneered 4X gaming, including some iconic titles that define the genre, such as Sid Meier's Civilization, Master of Orion, Stellaris, Age of Wonders, and more. So, let's get into it. The term 4X was coined by journalist Alan Emmerich to describe Simtex's 1993 classic Master of Orion, neatly summarising its gameplay as explore, expand, exploit, exterminate, and generally describes a set of core elements most 4X games aim to include, although this is a rough guide rather than a rule or a strict definition. These games can be further roughly split into three thematic subgenres: historical 4X, space 4X, and fantasy 4X. The player usually begins the game with a single undeveloped colony and the most basic equipment, limited knowledge of the world, a minimal set of technical capabilities, and a scout or two, then explores the environment around them in search of new territory, resources, challenges, and rivals to face off against. In the process, the player expands their territorial borders and settles new colonies, growing population and developing their industrial and economic infrastructure by exploiting resources found on the game map and improving the efficiency of their generation. But beware, you'll need a military, as you're not the only empire seeking to win the game. Rival players, either human or AI, are out there too, exploring, exploiting and expanding. And if diplomatic efforts fail, you'll often have to exterminate them to take them out of the game and secure a hard-won victory. 4X games are notable for intricate and deep gameplay, emphasise replayability with their procedurally generated content and multiple victory conditions, and tend towards longer gaming sessions, with campaign completion taking anywhere from 2 or 3 hours, right up to 40 or 50 on the largest, most complex titles. Let's take a look at the PC strategy games generally considered to be the first examples of the 4X genre. Sid Meier's Civilization, released by Microprose in 1991, was the first recognisable historical 4X. A remarkably well-designed game, even by Sid's standards, the iconic Civ spawned many sequels and spin-offs, and went on to become a staple of the genre. Civilization simulates the procedurally generated planet Earth and the budding nations of humans that populate it, from their birth as nomadic tribes in 4000 BC, through the ancient, classical, medieval and Renaissance periods, to the nuclear age, and finally ending in a near-future era of advanced computer technology and space exploration. Tasked with building an enduring empire, you'll start with a single settler, and by the end of the game, end up managing a world-spanning empire, and there is much satisfaction to be had guiding your people to greatness from such humble beginnings. Civ is notable for following humanity's development here on Earth, and players will have an intuitive understanding of the game's progression based on their own knowledge of history. Modern versions feature multiple victory conditions and many playstyles are possible, resulting in near limitless replayability. The series has come on a long way since the first title was released, and even today ranks amongst the most widely played computer strategy games. Master of Orion, developed by Simtex and published by Microprose in 1993, propelled 4X into the cosmos, and to this day remains one of the better executed examples of the genre. Your task is to lead your fledgling species from its lone starting colony out into the stars to achieve galactic supremacy through the 4 pillars of 4X, exploring new star systems, expanding through the colonisation of new worlds and pushing your territorial boundaries ever outwards, exploiting cosmic resources to grow your colonies and build your military might, and then exterminating rival civilizations if they get in your way. Though the game design is rather simplistic by today's standards, its tightly interlocking systems ensure every decision you make is a meaningful one. Gameplay revolves around its main victory condition, winning the Galactic Council vote, which requires 2/3 of the population of the galaxy to vote for your leadership. Whether by hook or by crook, diplomacy or war, you must bend your rivals to your will to become the Master of Orion. This excellent game became the blueprint for many Space 4X we know and love today. Master of Magic was the second 4X game from Simtex and Microprose. Released in September 1994, Master of Magic swapped out the futuristic sci-fi setting of Master of Orion for a high fantasy world. Here, powerful wizards ruling over cities full of elves, orcs and lizardmen duke it out to be the first to cast the spell of mastery, or conquer all their rivals, and gain dominion over the twin planes of Arcana and Mirror. Master of Magic was heavily influenced by Civilization and similarly focused on city management and resource exploitation, but switched out the technology tree for a magic spellbook with many spells available for research that could be cast both on the strategic map and in the excellent fast-paced tactical combat layer. It's also featured an interesting magic economy using mana, a resource that had to be carefully balanced across research, spell power, and your mana pool to achieve victory. Just like its space-based predecessor, Master of Magic went on to inspire many subsequent fantasy games, and the original is still played by die-hard 4X fans to this day. Now let's take a look at some other notable 4X titles. Galactic Civilizations, or GalCiv to its fans, was Stardock's first foray into video gaming, and first debuted on OS2 way back in 1993, and, like Master of Magic, also shows a heavy influence by Sid Meier's original Civilization title. GalCiv breaks from traditional Space 4X by allowing movement over a tile or hex-based game map, instead of the node-based Starlane system used in Master of Orion and the many titles that followed it. While Space 4X games can occasionally be rather heavy on exterminate, to the detriment of other playstyles, GalCiv offers a wide variety of different factions and paths to victory, with the player tasked with switching up their approach as the campaign progresses. Warfare is not restricted merely to the kinetic. Diplomacy, culture, and economy all become tools to outpace and defeat your rivals, and by harnessing advanced knowledge left behind by a precursor intelligence, your race may sublimate and transcend this reality entirely. Galactic Civilizations features a rich background story populated with weird, wonderful, and terrifying alien races, a detailed diplomacy system that allows them all to interact with one another in meaningful ways, detailed ship design and customization options, and a solid game AI that provides a challenge to players of all skill levels. Stellaris is Paradox Interactive's flagship real-time grand strategy Space 4X hybrid, offering a rich, evolving narrative that naturally unfolds from the highly customizable sandbox available to the player. Exploring the mysteries of the universe is a main focus of Stellaris, with dozens of scripted story events to discover and experience. As the player expands their fledgling empire into the territory of neighbouring races, some potentially friendly and willing to trade, and some hostile with an eye on your precious resources, the story focus will naturally begin to shift into one of tense diplomacy and epic warfare. Stellaris doesn't forget exploit either, taking cues from Paradox's historical grand strategy titles with detailed colony and colonist management deeply interwoven into its core gameplay. Perhaps even more exciting, your very race becomes a canvas upon which you can express yourself, with many wonderful societal, biological, and technological development options to dramatically change your empire over the course of the game. Stellaris has expanded over the years into a juggernaut of a Space 4X, with more gameplay content than most, and a wonderful RPG-like feeling that keeps players coming back for more, and has become one of the more popular space strategy games on the market. In 1999, Triumph Studios released Age of Wonders, a new take on the Master of Magic formula that switched out the procedurally generated maps for handcrafted, story-driven campaigns, and featured excellent, fast-paced tactical combat and a wide variety of races to play as, spells to cast, and a wonderful variety of fantastic creatures to fight with. Later iterations in the series reintroduced random map generation, while keeping the narrative campaigns, bringing Age of Wonders fully into the Fantasy 4X fold. Age of Wonders is notable for its excellent tactical combat layer, a system so solid that it outperforms many dedicated tactics games, added to a highly customizable faction build system that allows the player to tailor their main protagonist, the race that protagonist commands, and the spells they use both in combat and on the overland strategic map too. The Age of Wonders series is rapidly becoming a fan favourite in the Fantasy 4X subgenre. So, what makes these games so well loved amongst 4X gamers? 4X generally offer a mix of long-term strategic planning with turn-by-turn, moment-by-moment tactical decision-making, utilising a wide range of tools and resources and a satisfying progression from a humble, simplistic start to a map-wide, all-conquering high-tech empire. You'll be navigating your way through the game's various technological trees and cultural development mechanics while simultaneously engaging in warfare, trade and diplomacy with AI or human rivals who very likely will take a different view of your own aspirations than you do. Charting your own course through the various game systems while fighting off challenges from other players and seeing your people grow and develop into an empire worthy of the title is what sets 4X apart from other types of strategy game. Different players get different things from 4X. Some love the challenge of a difficult military campaign to overthrow a powerful enemy, while others enjoy the city development and empire building aspect, taking great pleasure in watching their well-oiled economic industrial machine running along smoothly. Many enjoy the role-playing aspect that comes from leading great heroes in even greater adventures, and the procedurally generated worlds and sandbox tools that many 4X provide are irresistible to those who love to carefully construct their own personal worlds to game in. And so 4X provide great replayability due to their randomised content and emphasis on multiple playstyles, where a good story-driven RPG or a historical wargame might provide enough replayability for a handful of playthroughs before the game content begins to repeat itself. A 4X will keep a gamer enthralled with different faction choices, multiple victory conditions, and the ever-shifting narratives that emerge from procedurally generated gameplay elements. 4X games are not without their challenges. The complexity and depth that make them so interesting give them a steep learning curve. Learning to play a 4X can be challenging. There is a lot going on right from the start, and this can be a little daunting to new players. Most 4X tackle this by providing only a small set of simpler pieces to play with in the opening moves of a game, and then increasing their number and complexity as the game develops. Older 4X relied on game manuals to explain their various rule systems. While some still do use manuals, a more common approach is in-game documentation, such as reference lists for units, technologies, and other mechanisms, as well as tooltips for user interface quick reference. Time is another big factor, with a map typically taking anywhere between a couple of hours to several days to complete, and on some of the longer and more detailed games, potentially taking a lot longer still. In an effort to respect the player's time constraints and understanding that not all gamers can dedicate weeks to a single campaign, 4X typically include extensive options to tailor map size, game length and difficulty to cater for all tastes. You can usually alter the procedurally generated content too. Are those mountain-heavy maps taking too long for your units to traverse? Are you finding a certain AI faction is playing too aggressively for your first few games? You don't want to start from the Stone Age each time you play? 4X usually allows some control over these situations to ensure that each player can approach the game in a way that is fun for them. And that wraps up our deep dive into 4X games. Whether you're a seasoned Emperor or a budding space explorer, the world of 4X offers a universe of possibilities. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy gaming.